Hello, welcome to Decisions Lunch and Learn, January 28th, 2025. We'll get started here shortly. I did get some pre-submitted questions. Um, did get some pre-submitted questions. I see Radley's in here, so I don't know if you can ever hear them. The people across from me are trying to answer your question related, but I think they're still working on it. And then we'll start with Justin's question, and then we'll bounce over Radley. We'll work with you next, just because Justin pre-submitted his early this morning. And then we'll jump over Radley. And like I said, I know Radley, I emailed you this morning as well, or a couple moments ago. But two of the smartest people I know are 6 feet in front of me working on where is that silly form title stored. I heard him say the word "kill it." That's never good. All right. Yeah, we'll get started here in like, I don't know, about 30 seconds. I just like to give people a moment to kind of get in, let their mics adjust so they don't walk in halfway through a question answer and they're like, what are we even talking about? Like I said, about 20 seconds here. All right. I'm gonna get started. Welcome everybody. My name's Robert, one of the trainers. You have resources on the screen. Feel free to QR code it up if you want. Just be aware that like on our YouTube channel, we're constantly posting new stuff. On our solutions marketplace, we're constantly coming out with new stuff. I know that we either just had something came out yesterday or something is coming out in the next day or two. Let me see if I can figure out exactly what that was again, but I believe I might have to close this. Sorry. Give you maybe some insight to what's coming down the pipeline for those of you that are interested. Yeah, I think so, Radley. I think I don't know. Greg will be here in a second. He'll be able to explain it. Okay, yeah, but just be aware we have more solutions marketplace stuff coming out. We have a new one coming out in the next day or so. I don't know if I want to spoil it, but Jasmine, if you can ping me, what was the name of the new one that's coming out? I know you guys in documentation are probably making stuff around it. When is it coming out? I guess it's out. Content question engine with AI and CSV validation. Oh no, documentation's going to be available soon, allegedly. Um, so those are going to be available soon. So the two that are available soon are Content Question Engine with AI, which is a CQE. It's designed to empower administrators and managers to build and manage comprehensive question bank, uploading an Excel sheet containing questions and answers, and then you can perform a variety of actions to organize an enhanced question repository. And the CSV validator is just for more CSV functionality, maintain high quality data sets with ease and confidence. So those are the two that are coming down the pipeline. But again, that's in the solutions marketplace. DocBot is a newer issue resource as well. It's docbot at decisions.com. It's just a kind of a AI tool that kind of parses our documentation site. So if you're looking for a direct answer and you're having trouble navigating to it, just be aware that DocBot might be able to get you the answer faster than you just kind of clicking through links to figure out what it is you are talking about. And I'll probably show that off here in just a moment with the first question. And like I said, I'm kind of going to go in order in which the questions are received. So I'm going to start with Justin, just because I know that I got a pre-submitted question, and then we'll jump over to Radley, and then whoever else has questions. I think I actually got an additional one about columns, maybe from Grant here a moment ago. Let me check. Nope. They're currently working on that, Doc. Cool, no problem. The Q&A was from Grant. Yeah, so we'll do Justin, and then Radley, and then Grant, and hopefully, like I said, you guys can get some answers here. So let's start with Justin's question was related to assignment leasing. I'm going to allow you to. I've unmuted you, Justin, if you want to provide any clarity about what you need exactly. But I think it was kind of just you were looking for a broad overview. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right. I just I had a question about why someone couldn't get back into a form or an
Mhm.
assignment using a named session, and I didn't really understand how leasing worked or when
Yeah,
it like expired or started to expire. That's what I
sure.
was trying to understand.
Yeah. Let's start with this timelines and then we'll so the where when do they expire? And I noticed you said something about the documentation was a bit confusing, and it even took me a minute to figure out what they were talking about in there. But it's under system settings, under yep, so system settings. There's an assignment section here. There's only two fields, and they're both related to lease times. So it's not settable individual assignment based. On the documentation site, it talks about the difference between these two. Essentially, this is the one that is going to matter the most. This is the one that's going to provide the top one, the initial lease time. That once someone opens up a form to complete an assignment, they will, the other person will be locked out for 2 minutes. Um, After 2 minutes, the other person will be able to complete the assignment. This one really only comes into play as far as I currently understand it. Um, when if this one is shorter, the action will show up, but it'll still tell you that it's leased, I believe. Is that right, Greg? Is that what we landed on when we were doing the research on it?
I believe so. Where,
Yeah.
yeah, that first one kind of controls all of them, it seems, with it being set to leased. And here we'll pull up the documentation on this.
Yeah.
S- So this is universal, by the way. This is not in a per assignment basis. So all assignments follow these rules in your environment.
Yeah. So this one just has to do with the right click actions, more or less. This one is going to be your like actual lease in which it's leased. And for those of you that are confused about what that is, we'll show you right now. Um, so essentially, I have a form on here that I'm going to assign to two people. One of these, I don't, robtest@email.com is going to be on the right, and one of these is going to be on the left here. So again, this is robtest@email.com. This is admin@decisions.com. When I go into this flow, I've assigned it to both of those people, admin and Rob Test. It's just a form with a button on it. I think there's nothing else to it. But you'll see that as I kind of go through and I run this form, it's going to assign that thing to both users, right? So I'm going to say no to both of these. I'm going to go to my inbox. This one's probably full because I've been testing this all day. Not all day, but I've been testing this for like the last hour trying to figure out, make sure I know it right. Let me refresh this. All right, so here are these at 12:08, which just happened a few moments ago. If I right click on this one, I'm given the action to complete. If I'm right click on this one, I'm also given the action to complete. However, if on this one over here or either one, if I right click and I actually go into the form to complete it, now on the left side, this assignment is leased to this user, Rob Test. On the left side over here, I am right clicked and it says, "Do you want to break the lease?" by Rob Test at email.com because I'm an admin and I have those rights. I think that's all stuff that you can assign. Um, and I can break it after 2 minutes, right? After 2 minutes, if we put a timer on, which we did test earlier, this will just say confirm again and give me my new user action, which again, back to kind of the documentation site, um, was just a setting. So it was that initial lease setting was 2 minutes. So after 2 minutes, it'll pop back up. The 5 minutes again, I think, is after, if you set it shorter than this, 2 minutes, it'll still be leased, but you'll get the right click action to confirm if you set it less and whatever, up to whatever time you said. It'll release the action ability. But again, if it's later than that, I'm not sure it has much functionality. Um, so I've kind of been ranting there for, I don't know, 7 minutes. Justin, what clarity can I provide or what direction do you want to walk in from here?
So the lease time starts once the form is activated or
Correct.
opened.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but even if the first person still has the form open, will that lease time still end and the other person could still access it, if that made
So
sense?
my initial lease time currently is set up to 2 minutes. So you're saying what happens with if within the 2 minutes someone tries to complete it as well?
Yes.
it'll give them saying it'll right, Gregory. It'll tell them they can't do it. It's because the assignment's already been leased. I'm an
Cool.
admin, so I think I'm given. I can make a second account and test it with no admin privileges and see what their rights look like.
We
But
can confirm that, but I do believe, yes, that it prevents them from accessing it while it is currently leased. And they do get a notification, I believe. We will confirm this, but I believe that's how that is handled.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
yeah, it's basically just so the assignment doesn't get filled out by two people at the same time. Like I said, I'll just make a quick assignment and see what their rights look like if they're not an administrator. leasetest@email.com. I need to remember that. leasetest@email.com. Let me change the name of this as well, just while we're here. Non-admin is going to be the name of the assignment. We're going to change this to how does it work? Just because we're learning here too. We're lunching and we're learning. All right, so one more test here. This is leasetest@email.com. leasetest@email.com. So now I should be able to run this. Okay, there it is there. I'm going to log out of this. I'm going to log into leasetest@email.com. Admin. My junk password. Let's refresh this. There's my new one. Here's this one on the right. Okay, so neither of these are admin accounts in any capacity. So let's try and do this. Let's refresh it. It looks like over here. Yeah, I'm not even, so you're not given the option at all to perform that action. Not given the option at all to perform that action. So after 2 minutes, or if I close out of this though, I am given the option. So it basically holds it, it leases it to them for 2 minutes. If you would like, let's do it. Why not? We got an extra quick moment, and then we're gonna, if you're okay, if everyone's okay with it, we'll kind of float and see what other questions we have. I'm gonna change one quick setting here. Got I'm in Browser Central here. I'm gonna see if I can change that secondary setting to like 30 seconds or something. And then see what it feels like after 30 seconds. Assignment settings. The action lease time, I'm gonna set to like 15 seconds. Let's see. Okay, so I've saved that. Hopefully it kind of works in live here. All right, so how does it work? So it's now leased. I have no actions here. I guess we don't need a 10-second timer. We can just kind of count ourselves away here. And I might have to just rerun the assignment to get those new settings to parse over. It might be something that's written when the assignment's made. Yeah, something I'll have to just maybe mess with and reach out to you. But is there any more, Justin, is there any more clarity I can provide for you on that? Or any other directions you want us to walk in?
I think that made sense.
Cool. All right, let me just check. One last 15 seconds has been up. Nope. All right, so we're going to move on, or move over with Radley. I know Radley, we were talking earlier, or in the chat, we've talked a couple weeks ago. Let me close out some of this stuff. Got too many windows open. All right, Radley, you are allowed to talk. Feel free. You got a couple of us on time.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate your help on that title question as well.
Yeah.
So for today, I just wanted to kind of validate that design approach that I'm thinking about will work, and then a question about how to implement that. So the majority of my projects, I'm in version 9.6, the majority of my projects have about the same 4 end forms, right? Your changes have been saved, your requests have been submitted, things like that. So instead of having these same 4 end forms in all my projects, I'm thinking about creating a flow with 4 end forms in it that's in a a project that everything is dependent on, and then I just call that end form flow and then route to the end form that I want to use. Do you see any issues with that approach?
How would you route to the end form that you're going to use?
Right. So the input in the subflow that I'm calling, and this is the question I had, is what I would want to have is a defined list that I could pick from, right? And then we just use like a string match.
String match, yeah.
It's kind of what my initial thought. But one, I wanted to make sure that we didn't see any issues with calling an end flow from using a subflow, or I'm sorry, an end form using a subflow.
What is the strategic advantage of following that same methodology, but just having, rather than putting in a flow that has four and you have logic that has to route it, just putting those forms in that shared dependency and then just putting the one form in, like the form you need when you need it.
Um,
I can show you. I mean,
yeah,
if
no,
it
no,
doesn't
I
make
didn't.
sense,
I don't know why I was. You're right. That idea is much more complicated.
you can just, I mean, it's the exact same methodology. It just is less design time, stuff that can go wrong at design time or at
Yeah,
flow runtime. It
no,
has more
that's
design time accommodate for a bunch of stuff.
you're spot on with that. That's the right way to do that.
Yeah, like global Endforms or whatever,
Yeah,
and then you just put all four of them in here,
I
and
just
then
call that one.
yeah, so like let's say this leased assignments is my global thing. Yeah, you just call the one form. I don't think you need that because the other thing, it would work, but I think it's a little it, it would be cool. It is a good idea for like some scalability, like depending on what happens, you could have different end forms show up for different users, and it's a good design concept. But in terms of simplicity, I don't think it helps the process.
Okay. And then if I had, because what I want to do on each end form is, your changes have been saved. If you have questions, contact this email address. And depending on which project they're in, it'd be a different email. So I guess just as I'm, thinking out loud here, the end form would have an input.
Mhm.
The global end form would have an input that I would set then in my flow that I'm calling it.
100%.
Okay. Very good. I do have a couple more questions. Do you have anybody else in the queue?
Yeah, we
Happy to.
do, but
Okay.
I do have a thing. Gregory, did you get any? If you didn't yet, just say you didn't. Don't feel like you got to walk down it. When you and Will were just hammering out, did you guys get any clarity on that thing or not yet?
We
No.
have
Okay.
not, no.
Yeah, they're still working on it. So the other question about the forms thing, we had two smart people working on it, and they are still working on it. Yeah, let me see if I can just do one quick thing. But yeah, you should be able to just. You said they're forms or simple forms, or they're end forms.
End forms. Yep.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you're given options there on how you can just map that data in.
Okay. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
can set the standard text and then set up a variable at the end. If you have questions, contact this group or that group or whoever. Okay.
You can even dynamically apply CSS to them as well if you're looking to alter how they look for different users.
Okay. Yeah, that's good information. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Let's Riley, if you don't mind, just because we have three more questions, I'll float back. I'll just if you don't mind, put it in the QA and we'll just start putting some eyes on it. And we will have time to loop back to it. It's just trying to be considerate here. And I appreciate you had that you came up with that accommodation and not me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So the next one we got is from Grant. We're taking a single report column and make it spread over 3 columns. Potentially, it depends on what the data and how it's stored and all that. Grant, I'll unmute you and we can be conversational about it. But for the folks, again, that can't read the question, it was loosely, can you take a single report column and make it spread over 3 columns? So Grant, you want to go ahead and just kind of give me some insight on what you'd like?
Yeah, so I have just a single report column, and our client requested that column would be spread over 3 different columns. So like, let's say you have 15 names in one column. They would want 5 of those names in one column, 5 of them in the next, and then the last 5 in the third column. Just kind of like partitioning that column out, I guess.
Yeah, let's see if we can just build in here. Maximum column entries kind of thing. So again, somewhere in here you have a list of like 5 things. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything in here that's like that just yet. All right, give me 1 millisecond here. See if I can just make something. This is gonna be hard to test without it. Luke data. Okay. Whoa. So whatever that was, stay away from it. Let's populate Luke data, and I'll put a bunch of, I'll put it in, like you said, 15 names into one kind of section, and then we'll see if we can figure out some methodologies here. I think that's the best way
Okay.
to kind of approach it. So we're going to create now that I've made that thing a list. I can build data here. I always do that with this new 9.6. Click the wrong section. All right, name, constant. RG. I guess we'll do different ones here. All right, we'll call it that. Number 7. Look at this great data. Number 7. Save. Let's run this to kind of populate it. Nice. All right, so now that we're there, Luke report. Okay, so it's something along these lines where you have a ton right here, and you want to spread it across 3 evenly in some capacity.
Yeah, but like I have like 15 different like rows, I guess. So
So
like
there's like 15 entries here, like
yeah,
1, 2, 3,
15
4, 5.
entries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think if I can get it to work for 1, I should be able to get it to work for multiples. I just wanted to do 1 just to see. I'm
Okay.
not sure if there's an easy way to. Let me think here. I don't. The more I'm thinking about it, no, because it's not going to view it. Okay, so you want to add a column. It's if possible, it would be some type of calculated column. I'll just have to think about how it's going to work here. And how to do it without like not leaking data, but just like missing stuff. Constant value. So that's a math one. We don't need that. That's a good question. Let's see. I'll give it a couple more moments. If not, I might just have to just try to build this out and maybe send it back out to you.
Okay.
Just because it's if
It's
it's
definitely a
possible,
tricky one.
yeah, if it's possible, it's going to be one of these calculated columns. I just don't know.
Just so I understand here, the goal is to be able to split these up across multiple columns.
Yes, yeah. As far as I know, feel free to bring clarity there.
Yeah, just split up several rows across multiple columns. Like so like I just have essentially his name column and I want to take all those entries in the name column and split them into like 3 different rows or I mean columns.
Yeah, so you'd have like name 1, name 2, name 3, essentially, and then still
Yeah.
number 7.
The only
Yeah,
way I could think to do that would be with a I feel like, well, let me say this. I think the best way to do that is with the data before running the report, because these are all technically one field, right? It's multiple items in a list.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would need some sort of flow logic to be able to break that up outside of just doing first and last like you see here, right? If
Yeah.
there are multiple items. Either that or potentially reorganizing it from a data view to a rich text view or merge text view on the far right there. And then you can make things look a little prettier, even though they technically wouldn't be in different columns. That would be my other thought on an approach to get that kind of look. But the best approach would seem to be altering the data before it gets sent into the report, because trying to do flow inline fields to do that logic for you will slow down performance greatly.
Okay.
Yeah, flow inline fields, that would do it. It would just
Mhm.
have significant
Give it
performance
consequences. Yeah.
implications.
So yeah, for the rest of you guys, what a flow inline field allows you to do is essentially have a flow that is inline as a part of your report, but it is not performant at all, and we not highly recommend, but we definitely recommend against it. Okay, yeah, let me do some brainstorming there. Grant, is there anything else I can help you with today? I'm gonna write this
No,
down
I
real
think
quick.
that'll be it. It sounds good. I also put in a support ticket as well earlier, but I thought I'd just come on here maybe in case you guys had something. So I think Kobe was in charge of that one.
Yeah, I saw
So
that. I saw that ticket. It's about how to organize to kind of look for like a and I think you talked with Jared about it before, but it's like a organizational kind of tree. Like you have
mhm,
a banks of sectionalized employees.
yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can just pull up where we. I know that had gotten some replies, I believe. Let me look here on our side. Maybe just give you a little bit of insight. Yeah, so they've been talking about. Yeah, so we have people that have involved putting in a data structure and reporting on it. So a couple people are mentioning HTML and being able to use maybe ChatGPT to format the HTML to get to format to look like that.
And that's kind of what I was thinking was going to have to be done. But I was like, well, if there's something in the report, like a calculated column that I could use, then maybe that would work better. But I'm kind of thinking I might have to go HTML route, which is totally fine with us. But because one of our other reports has that exact same thing when it prints out in a PDF.
Yeah. Yeah, I would let Kobe get back to you. Like I said, they have there's like 8 people kind of responding to this channel or that support ticket right now, so they're all kind of
Okay,
working on it.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We're gonna keep rocking here a little bit just because we got a bunch of them. And thank you guys for the questions. This is nice. From Victor, exploring rule chain and trying to reference existing rules and steps. Does it support or we need to create new rules? I'll unmute you there. Victor, see if there's any clarity you might need. I'm not the most confident with rule sets, but maybe we can figure it out all together here. Where's my participant list? There you go. Cool. I do have you unmuted if you want to add some clarity there, Victor, but we're going to kind of look at what these rule sets are. And you said you want to use
Yep.
existing rules. Is that right?
Yeah, I have a set of rules already created, right? I have, let's say reusability, right? So I can create a rules, and then I can reuse those rules in multiple rule chains or rule sequence, right? So is it supported, or once I create a rule sequence, mean I need to create fresh rules again, or I could refer those existing rules? That's what my question is. Yeah, I don't see anything in the documentation also clear.
Yeah, I know rule chains have been kind of not fully deprecated, but we use them. We've started utilizing other options in
Oh,
here.
really? Which one you
Not
then,
not not
yeah.
not. It depends on the use case, but we don't do a lot of the rule chain. Gregor, do you know what the logic is? What is the takeover for rule chains? Is it just the rule sets essentially?
I am not certain. I would have to
Oh,
check
okay.
that. I don't know that off the top of my head.
So let's see here.
Because you have a rule chain and you have a sequential rules too, I think they're right.
Yeah, let's see if
Um,
we can kind of.
I'm not seeing any way to dynamically assign the rules that you've already created at the moment. So when you if we were to go back and exit
Mhm.
out of this, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So you see that step right there, and it has the edit the rule change step. He's wondering typically on steps that we have like a select or, pick
Mhm.
existing, and I'm not seeing that option for any of the ones that we drag on.
Right.
So he
But
could
in here
reuse
you
them.
could technically use a pick or create rule, right? Or no?
Yeah, you could. You could technically just run that within the flow portion, and then you can have that dynamically assigned. So you could do it that way. That
Okay.
would function. Yeah. I would have to look at any implications of doing that to see if that's recommended, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't at least work.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a couple of, maybe I would ask those questions in later, maybe Nick this week
We can.
sometime. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, like I'm still exploring this tool, and like how I don't see any use case or any pattern that you support kind of batch use cases, because we have a lot of batch use cases where we have we get bulk load data files, and then you have bunch of rules. Right now we are executing rule engine on top of that, right? Do you have any pattern that you can suggest on those such use cases? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we've been recommending like our rule sets have been, or we've just added like the formulas and stuff like that is
Mhm.
somewhat of, we've been expanding these quite a bit. But the rule sets is a more common version of what used to be rule chains. And it allows for a little bit more customization and more direct kind of pathways. So in here, you have settings on how your rule set's going to work and what type of data you allow or don't allow. And then how it's scored. You can again have logical true false, or you can have a full on scoring, like a tiered system of how things go through with um, weight systems and all of that, or you can just return data. And then the way they run, you're just getting a little more functionality here with the rule set. Within these rule sets, you have options in which ways that they're set up. So you have these template with instance, and conditional. So you can set up certain conditions to run for certain rule sets, and it allows you to kind of dynamically pick which rule sets are going to run based on the data that comes in. Yeah, if you're looking to again kind of run, a lot of data through a rule set and kind of, or rather than building an extremely large rule chain, you might be able to accommodate with much less building due to the architecture that's already kind of built into a rule set. But
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Rob. But I was trying to understand that those pattern, right? Suppose you have a batch use case, because I know you have, I see a couple of pattern that you support API pattern, right? But do you have any other integration pattern that, okay, for this batch use case you can do this way, not call the API, because API might not give you the better performance. So that's what I was looking for. I know those rules. I was exploring those rules. This is kind of like self-explanatory. I was reading through the documents. Once you know the rule engine side, you can rule table, rule metrics, all those nice tools. But once I've set up the rules, right? Suppose I have a bunch of bank rules. Now I have a batch use case where some data comes and they need to execute the rules. And before take any batch decision or some kind of output to before give output to the next system, which is process the data. So thus such use cases we have. So in those use cases, what should be the pattern? Should I call the API? Because that's the integration pattern I do see is the API is one of the option, but do you have any other option for any such batch use cases?
So, just to make sure I'm understanding this question correctly, you're talking
Yeah.
about calling an external rule to evaluate things, or you're talking about
Yeah.
calling
So
decisions as a rule
yeah.
set?
Yeah, no, let me explain you. Suppose you got a bunch of customer data, right? And
Hmm.
you need to execute the rule. Now you getting the customer data, suppose in some kind of Kubernetes process. Now I need to execute the rules, right? So one of the approach would could be calling the API. This is external to this batch use cases where calling this rule API maybe to execute the rules, right? But do you
Hmm.
have any other such pattern that, okay, no, API is not the pattern. Maybe you can call some SDK or some kind of internal of way that you can call and get the better performance?
Yeah, you can create a integration within decisions, use that same integration that you set up within a flow within the rule set itself, and that can be part of your scoring criteria. So it doesn't
Okay.
even have to be something that's particular. So under can we go under manage real quick for just in general in the under manage here integrations.
Mhm.
Databases or external services. So like you can set up a database integration to call here. You can call an external service here and have that output ready. And then when you create that external service call, you can create a method off of that service that can be used as a step. Because this can be used as a step, you can use it in any flow, including rule sets, which run flows based on certain criteria that you set up. So you can have certain criteria that make those API calls and certain criteria that weren't to get back a result and use it either in a true or false evaluation or in a scoring evaluation or however you want to use it within your rule set.
Okay. Do you have any document around this? Like, is it this because I don't at least I didn't find all the documents like how to set up those externals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's external services because its use is so broad that it can be used in either a rule, flow,
Mhm.
inline field and reports. So it's not necessarily tied to the rule itself. I don't know if Jasmine has that already. Oh, let me see. So it should be either external services or REST services. We do have documentation on it. Let me just find you the right page. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, let me look for a moment. REST service integration overview. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to send this to you. This is the overview of it, but then
Mhm.
from there are a bunch of subsections within it that go over specifics. So I'm going to put that in the chat for everyone, and everyone should be able to see that.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it talks about creating the REST method, using the get method and post methods within decisions. There are other ways to integrate, but the REST method is the default option for the decisions platform, which is why we're bringing that one up.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, you can create a REST service if you need to. If you have the .NET SDK installed if you're on Decisions version 9, I think you need .NET version 8 in order to run that SDK. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Rob,
Cool.
I'm good
Thank you.
as of now. I think, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Gregory, as well, for that assistance. Super helpful, and I'm learning a lot too here. The next question, Salim Khan, MD. I will unmute you as well, just for continuity here, if you're in. Oh, you're no longer in here. Yeah, I was going to probably advise. So the question I got from Salim Khan, they're not in here anymore. I was going to advise something about a support ticket for that. It was related to design a repository in a VM running a standard server in your local machine, trying to pass. It just seems something you want to make sure you have set up right. When you're setting all that stuff up, you don't want to. That's not the time to be exploratory or just have me kind of speculate. It's not something I could possibly test right now. Couldn't spin up a VM to actually test that. So I would recommend if you happen to watch this later saying, hey, I wonder if they went back and answered my question. I would just say definitely submit a support ticket and have them walk you through that just because it's not something that you want to have any issues with. So we're back kind of doing a full loop here, I believe. Let's see here. Let me check one more thing. I know that we started. I know we started with Justin, so we'll do the full loop and then we'll head back and do Radley again. Justin, did you have any more questions? I know on the front you said you might. Is there any more clarity we can provide or any direction, anything at all?
Not at this moment.
Cool, thank you. All right, so then let's go. I know Radley, you put something in there about project health. So the question for everybody kind of listening in 9.6, which I believe I am on. Nice, I am. In 9.6 project health report, I'm getting a lower score due to having a pause step in the flow. The message states flows should not contain a delay or pause steps. Yeah, that is true. This flow sends an email and then pauses 90 minutes and sends another email. This is run on a scheduled job. What is the approach to remove the pause and have a second email sent 90 minutes after the first? Yeah. I do know that we hesitate to advise people to use the pause or the what is the other one that's not pause flow, but it's called
Delay flow
delay.
steps.
Yeah, delay. Yeah, that's it. Just because it takes up one of your threads and it's just not very performant. You just are using some of your horsepower in a delayed state. You're saying, hey, reserve some of this horsepower for 90 minutes,
Fair enough.
essentially.
Yeah.
So let's see how I could probably frame this out. My initial thought is a secondary scheduled job that has some type of valid verification the first one ran through, but let me see if I can give you an actual full-on answer here. Jobs and events, scheduled jobs. I have to maybe do a little bit of research here on how these are all going to work, because there's a lot of knobs and levers here in scheduled jobs. Understanding scheduled jobs. So the initial flow is run on a scheduled job, right? And then
Yes.
in that there's a 90-minute. Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
I have a quick question on this. These are two different emails, I assume, are running.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So one's designed to run 90 minutes after the other. Is there any additional logic determining whether or not that 90-minute one runs, or is it always run after the other one?
It's always run after the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, my initial, I mean, this is again not perfect. I'll have to just continue to kind of think about it while I'm talking. But my initial one is, I mean, this is kind of simple, maybe a little too simple, and I'm sure there's some problem with it. But you know, so let's say you run this one at, or let's do something more rational here. 1:30. Right. So you run one at, and then you just follow the exact same settings and change this to, you add an hour and 30 minutes and have a second scheduled job that comes up right behind it. Is it just in,
Okay.
so that's the only thing that separates the two is just a singular pause. And so it's basically a send email step, a pause flow, and a send email step, and then your red end step.
That's it.
Yeah. That's my initial advisement. I mean, I can continue to brainstorm on it. I see Greg's wheels are turning over there as well. Oh, VT's raising his hand. Let's go. VT's one of the smartest cookies I know. Go ahead, Vitaly, if you got some information for me.
Hey, yeah, so in this case, you can just use the create assignment, assign it to some like a system account. Well, not the actual decision system, but create an account for it. And then escalate that after 90 minutes and send an email. That's one approach. But because this runs on the scheduled job, those flows, they will stack up. So for example, if you have like 1,000 flows and they're waiting 90 minutes and then you need to run the schedule again, it's gonna just delay until the scheduled job is finished.
Okay.
So that's the downside. What I would do, I would just try to do something like I don't know, like send
Is there
email
any,
in scheduled job, and then after that write some record in database to see to follow up, and after 90 minutes run a second scheduled job that will pull those records from database and send follow-up email.
Okay.
If it's a relatively simple task, Vitaly, is there any downside to just scheduling one 90 minutes after the other? Like if it's a relatively simple task, we're just sending emails, like that should kind of finalize in the next,
Yes, but if you create an assignment, it will wait those. Well, it's not gonna wait those 90 minutes, but it will wait until that assignment is completed. If you send email and complete assignment right away,
Yeah, and there's no
Okay.
assignment associated with this.
well, what I mean is that you can create an assignment instead of using post
Right.
tab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yep.
his
I gotcha.
methodology was, you rather than sending an email, you create an assignment
Yep.
that after 90 minutes, the like expiration path of that
Yeah.
is send the other email. So it'll make the assignment 90 minutes later, that assignment will no longer go through. But then like I hesitate advising that too, because in your assignment, you can have a ton of assignments built up or something error. And to me, that just seems a little too leaky, or like there's too much operations for failure in there. Yeah,
And this flow only runs once per day. It's only ever
yeah.
once. Yes, it's not ever run on demand. So that would be like an
Oh,
autocomplete, right? You set up the assignment and have an autocomplete 90 minutes later, and then on that path, you send that email.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Okay.
what is the
That's one
problem to
approach,
me, Vitaly? Like, what if we did one that was at hour 12 and then one that was hour 13:30, and it would be
Yeah.
90 minutes? So it'd send an email, and then again, it'll send an email another 90 minutes after. If we're just sending emails, I think it's better. I think it's better to break it up. That's rather. I mean, it's
Okay.
in the design world, you're given a lot of options, but
Sure.
I always err on the side of what is going to, you just don't want something to break,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things where I'm sure you guys deal with it too, but you don't want something to happen where, because of flow errors out, accidentally you set some, the assignment breaks, you set some high recursion on that flow, and it
Right.
accidentally sends out 77 emails in an hour trying to continually, just the one flow with one step in it, to me, or one additional scheduled job with one step in it, is just a less points of failure than an assignment process that has escalations and all that stuff and
My only
expiration.
concern, it's fairly minimal with this approach, is what if that first email, like the server's down when that first scheduled job is supposed to run, comes back up, and this one sends, and the first one wasn't sent. I mean, it's not a big deal. I think it's not going to many
Yeah.
users. It would just be
And the downside is that if your server is down, then your scheduled job will be delayed until your server comes back up, which means the second scheduled job will not know that first
right.
one is ran. So you will not have that exact 90 minutes.
And there's not a method to tie two jobs together, or to put a criteria that it's 90 minutes after the first one is done. Anything like that?
Well, assignment has that escalation check box
Yeah,
where you
the assignment
create
approach. Yeah.
and you complete it, and then in 90 minutes you just escalate that.
Okay. All right,
You
I
could
can look
you
at
could
it.
specify an expiration date too. That I guess that doesn't help the problem.
No, I think
Yeah.
what you have there as well is you can, after the email sends, just write a very simple record to a database, and then the next scheduled job checks a yes or no before it runs. It just pulls that record. It sees a flag of, hey, did the other job run? Yes. Okay, I run. I send the email. No, I just go to the end, or I throw some validation error or something,
No, true. That's smart.
Yeah,
Okay.
so and then all you have to do is you don't have to keep filling up that database. You can just check that record and have the first job only write to that if it fails or something along those lines. Create logic for that in the first job.
Yes. I like that's smart. Then you have a secondary one that says, hey, a rule that like checks that smiley face, and if it's true, you send the email. You send the email, draws out email, and if not, you rerun this or something, or there's some logic performed,
Yeah.
but at least it can like with Gregory's methodology, you can check, say, hey, did that thing send? Yes. Okay, send the follow-up email. And if it didn't, perform said logic in another way.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
excellent.
that although it's a bigger build, the architecture of the larger build is error handling, which is kind of what I'm always on side, the less things that can break, and if you're going to overbuild in error handling capacity and exception handling capacity.
Awesome. Very good.
Robert, but still
Yeah,
this approach will not resolve the issue if your server is downtime. So for example, if you schedule your job to run at 1 p.m. and then another one will be 2:30, then if your server is down at 1 p.m. And then it comes back up, let's say 1:30, the second job will not know that he was down, so it's not gonna move 90 minutes. It's gonna still run at 2:30.
So you're saying if the decision server is entirely down during the time that the job would have run, then it doesn't update the database record.
Well, when it comes back up, it's gonna check the next schedule, and if it didn't run at 1 p.m., your next schedule will be at the time when your server comes back up, and it will run right away. And then,
If you have it set to run on startup, yes.
which you should, I guess, maybe. Well, I'm not sure.
All right. Well, that gives me some options. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
thank you. And like I said, I'm going to submit that for the first question. I'm going to. I talked with Will Meyer, who's like smart. He was working with Greg a couple minutes ago. He said just submit a support ticket and tag him on it about the first question. I mean, we think Gregory and I thought it was stored on the not stored in the database table, so it'd be hard to fetch. But Gregor or Will had some other idea, but who knows what the actual answer is at this moment, unfortunately.
Okay. Awesome.
Maybe just
I appreciate it.
we'll
Thank
test
you.
that. Yeah, no problem. We'll bounce back. I know we're kind of doing big old circles here. Victor, I know you said you had some other questions, and you said we want to wait for another day. Is there something we can help you with here in the last 8 to 10 minutes? Kind of looping back.
No, I'll get back to you because I'm still exploring the tool. Sorry about that. And thanks for your help. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll get back to you.
Cool. Any other questions we got? Like I said, this was a kind of a big action packed. I learned a lot in this one too, which I'm always appreciative of. Anything I can help with in the next couple of moments? Open to any amount of direction here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just call it and get this kind of mixed up and put on YouTube for y'all. So thank you guys again for joining. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And I'm super appreciative you all came. And again, it's been a pleasure. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.